Coming up next on Cooking on the Wild Side. We're especially glad you joined us for this program because we're going to have a wing ding. It's going to be a great time. This is our Arkansas Outdoors Holiday Special, a 1-hour program, and we're just real glad you came along. My buddy Phyllis Spear with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission is on hand as usual to cook. Oh, here she comes right now.
Hi,
Phyllis,
John,
what
is
have you
this where
got?
the party is?
Yeah.
Good.
We're going to have some fun tonight.
We are going to have fun.
Again, you're cooking for a big one, man.
We're going to cook we've got some special dishes, and we're going to try to cook them up just right. Got dessert
good.
here in the basket, a little apple pie.
Whoa,
What do you say? Let's go in and get started cooking.
Let's do, because it's getting cool out here.
That's right.
Whoa, mercy. The time of year to have this kind of a thing.
Around the warm fire inside.
While you're going over to the kitchen, well, I'm going to introduce some of these folks here with AETN.
Okay, I'll see you after a bit.
We just think you might like to meet some of those folks. Over here on this end of the couch, there's my friend David, and next to him is Liz. And here's Sandra. She's stringing some popcorn. And over here is Lee decorating the tree. Thank you, Lee. You're doing a great job, hon. This is Jim Holmes, our producer-director of Arkansas Outdoors. And next to him is Casey. And over here, Brother Kevin. Do we have you to thank for the wonderful fire?
You betcha. It's cold outside, and I thought we needed it.
You've done a good. Isn't it nice to really put the heat where it needs to be?
Be careful there. It's pretty hot.
Yeah, right. I agree with you.
Can I take your coat?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I'll run over here and talk to Phyllis. Oh, Phyllis, you're already starting to make some good smells over here. I know you cut up some onions.
Oh, we're getting it going, John. We're going to make a duck casserole.
Oh, part of the feast of the Arkansas Outdoors.
Absolutely. This is the right time of year for that, don't you think?
Absolutely. December and duck season in Arkansas, you got to have duck in a holiday
That's
feast.
absolutely correct.
A duck casserole. You know, is it just called a duck casserole? It hasn't got a fancy name?
We don't even have a fancy name for it. I call it Joe's Duck Casserole because my friend Joe gave me the recipe years ago.
Joe. The only thing that makes it a little special is it's J-O instead of J-O-E, right?
That's right.
We gotta get us a French book and name this duck casserole.
We could come up with all sorts of names, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Well, shall we get to cooking?
Let's do.
Well, first of all, we're going to start over here at the stove, and then we're going to come back and combine all the ingredients.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
First thing we're going to do is we've melted a stick of butter in this skillet, and we're going to saute these onions. Now, you know, saute, that's probably one of those French words.
That's it. See, everything in the eating business is, they always use French words, and saute is French for fry it.
That's right. We're just going to fry these till they get a little soft. Won't take but a couple of minutes.
I love the smell of those things. They're just now starting to bubble just a little bit, and I love the smell of those onions cooking.
Well, you know, I wonder why they don't taste hot after you cook them like they do when they're raw.
You know, I've noticed that too. It seems to me that they're a whole lot milder after you cook them just a little bit. Get a little of that fire out of them, but oh, what a taste.
Oh, don't we like onions?
You know what I always think of when I smell onions cooking?
What's that?
One of those hamburger stands at the fair.
At the Arkansas State Fair, don't they?
State Fair, yeah.
Those
or county fairs.
Well, that's
either.
true.
Yeah.
County fairs have the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Well, now I think we have these pretty much softened up, so what we're going to do is add about a 1/4 cup of flour to this. This is our thickening agent. This is sort of what's going to hold this casserole all together.
Oh, okay.
All we have to do is just stir that in.
This is a butter onion flour gravy.
That's right.
I bet that tastes good, just like it poured over a biscuit.
I bet it would. You know, we could get this a little bit darker and put a little milk in it, and I bet that'd be just real tasty.
Yeah,
Well, now that we have that going, let's take it over here and put it all together. What do you say?
Okay. What do we pour in first?
Well, first we're going to leave that there because I want to just take a moment to tell you about the duck, because we've already cooked this duck and deboned it.
Oh, okay.
So what we've done is we've taken 2 ducks and put them in a big pot of water, and we've cut up an apple, cut up a couple of stalks of celery and an onion, and a little salt and pepper. Put it in the water with it and boil it for an hour or so, just till that duck gets tender. You know, sort of simmer it. Don't boil it real hard. And then after they cool down, then we just debone them and cut it into chunks like we have here.
You know, did you tell me that's 2 ducks?
That's 2 ducks. Ducks don't have very much meat, do they?
They don't have near as much meat as a lot of people might think.
Well,
actually, you get past the breast and There's just sure not much more meat
Not
left
much.
there.
You can get a little off the legs, but that's about it.
And that's all the meat off of a couple of ducks.
That's right.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now, the first thing we're going to do is take our duck and put it in this bowl. And actually all we're going to be doing is mixing all these ingredients together. And then we're going to take our onions and our butter mixture here. Put that together. Get the last drop, you know, that's important stuff.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's major.
Set that over there.
Major.
There,
get out of your way so
That'll
you
be a
can.
good idea.
Well, those iron skillets, that's a kind of a one hand. You got to have some power to lift that thing.
Now we've taken 1 can of mushrooms, and with the juice, we're going to leave the juice in them because, you know, this is rice that's already been cooked, so we're going to need a little extra juice.
Okay.
We put that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was going to have mushrooms in it. You like mushrooms?
I love mushrooms. I use them a lot. Now this is a cup and a half of half and half. You know, the half cream and half milk that you just buy in a carton in the store.
And we're just going to say it's the holiday season, folks. You can afford to have one with a little half and half in it once a year.
That's right, by golly. And then we have a tablespoon of fresh parsley that we've chopped up.
Oh boy.
Mix that in.
What does the parsley do?
It gives it, not only does it give it a little flavor, but it also gives it a real pretty color.
Yeah.
Festive color for the holidays. Now our rice is already pre-cooked. Now this particular rice is a pre-packaged wild and long grain rice that you can cook on top of the stove. Or if you have your own rice, long grain and wild, you can cook those and mix them together. But this is a little easier and faster because it is pre-packaged.
I guess you could use plain old white rice, but
sure you could.
yeah. But this really looks
But something
nice.
about duck and wild rice
Duck and wild
together
rice.
is just wonderful.
Kind of like bacon and tomatoes.
That's true.
They complement each other in a way nothing else does.
That's true. Now, John, that's all our ingredients, and we're just going to mix this up real well and then put it in a casserole dish, and it'll be ready to cook.
Stir that feller up. Get all the ingredients kindly blended together. Ooh, that looks good. That's going to be good.
That's
that smells good, too.
I believe we might even bypass the cooking and just eat it like this, but maybe we'd better not. Something real special for this party, and we not having done this before, we're going to cook some bear.
I've never had a taste of bear. I've eaten buffalo and beaver and muskrat and coon and all kinds of things, but I've never eaten bear.
Oh, well, you're in for a treat because bear really is good. And
You've eaten a lot of it.
Not a lot, but I've eaten a considerable amount of it and cooked it many different ways.
You even bear hunt.
Well, you might call it that. I go out in the woods and try to find one and sit and wait, but I wouldn't go so far as to say I've ever bear hunted officially.
Well, that's sort of like my quail hunting. You know, I'm more hunter than I am getter. Dove hunting also. Bear. Okay, what are we going to cook? A bear roast? What do you call it, a roast?
Yes, we're going to cook a bear roast, and I'm going to show you the way I do it, which is a very simple way, but it's a way that you can cook bear, you can cook any kind of wild game. You can even use this recipe on pork or beef at home if you don't happen to have any wild game.
And we're talking about a marinade?
A marinade. We're going to marinate the roast overnight and then cook it. You'll cook it the next day and cook it in a real slow oven.
Okay.
Let me show you how I do it.
Yeah, good.
I've got a roast right here in the refrigerator.
All right. Well, I'll be.
Now this is a bear roast.
You know, it looks a whole lot like bull beef, kind of dark red meat and real light colored
Right.
fat.
Well, one of the things I do anytime I cook a roast is to give it flavors. My family likes lots of garlic. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to take a real sharp knife like this and just poke holes down in this roast like this and take these peeled cloves of garlic and just stick them down in there.
Well, would you look at that? You hid the whole thing.
And it just flavors the meat so nicely.
Now, how many of those would you put into a roast this size?
Well, I'd probably put about 5 or 6 because we like garlic. Now, a larger roast, it just depends on how much you like garlic, and which my family does really like it.
Well, does it really leave a lot of garlic flavor, or does it just kind of brighten it up?
It just sort of brightens it up. It doesn't really make it, you know, not real garlicky, which wouldn't bother us if it was real garlicky. But for the sake of TV, that's all we're going to do. We're just going to do those.
Okay.
Then we're going to fix the marinade.
All right.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2/3 of a cup of soy sauce.
Soy sauce first.
Soy sauce. A 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. And then we take a 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Now it's real important that it's fresh squeezed and not the frozen kind.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It just gives it a much better flavor because I've tried with both.
Isn't lemon juice one of the things in a marinade that kind of breaks down connective tissue also? Yeah.
And takes out, so a lot of people say takes out that wild taste.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now here we have a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, then we have a teaspoon of curry powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. We're going to just put all that in there.
Well, you're going to have a real spicy thing here by the time it's
well, I think you'll be amazed at how the meat is not really that spicy when you eat it. And then last but not least, we're taking a big onion that we've chopped up, and we're going to put that in there.
Okay.
Let me get a spoon over here.
Yeah.
And we're just going to mix this up real well. And then all we're going to do is just take this roast and put it in this marinade.
Well, now that's
Turn it over once.
That's not going to completely cover the roast, Phyllis.
No, what we're going to do is we're going to cover this and put it in the refrigerator. And when you go for those midnight snacks, or you go in the morning, get your little jellies and jams out, you just kind of turn it over or sort of baste it a little bit.
Oh, really?
And if you do it as often as you think about it, and you go up to the refrigerator, but if you don't get to do it real often, it's not that big of a problem because you're going to cook the roast in the marinade also.
Oh, whatever comes out, whatever it pulls out will be cooked in the whole pot
and just flavors it very nicely. So now we're just going to set this in the refrigerator overnight.
Overnight. Now then, everybody realizes that if you have to marinate it overnight, that means we're not going to have time enough to do it on this program. And then it has to cook for, I think she told me, 4 hours.
On a large roast, on that roast about that size right there, we'd probably only cook it a couple of hours. And the secret in cooking wild game and roast is to cook them very slow. I cooked that roast at 250 degrees.
Low and slow.
That's a good term. That's a good way to put it.
I bet that's original.
Right.
Yeah, don't you? Well, anyway, we'll lose a little time in the process because we're going to eat that bear after a little bit.
Won't be long now.
And you already have one cooked?
I already cooked one. It's ready right now.
Well, Phyllis, I want to see that bear roast.
Well, you come right over here to this stove and we'll just show you that bear roast. Okay? Don't forget the pot holders because it's going to be hot. It just finished cooking and it's a heavy pot.
You're right. Where you want me to set it? Right here? Okay. No, don't grab it with your bare hand.
The pot's hot.
The hot pot is right. Oh, mercy. Well, I will say. That's my first bear roast. You got mushrooms?
Got mushrooms on there. See, that's just ready to eat. We're going to slice that up.
Now, you put the mushrooms on later, right?
You put the mushrooms in about an hour before the roast is done. You just add a can of mushrooms.
But the mushrooms are not in the marinade.
No, they're not in the marinade.
But the marinade is in there.
It's in there, and that's what we cooked it with.
Well, that's amazing. What's it going to taste like?
Bear.
Are we ready to move some? Hey,
is anyone here hungry? Well, if you'll come get a dish and take it over to the table, I'm going to recap the recipes that we fixed here today while you all are doing that. Good. And we can eat.
Good. Move them right on.
First, John, let's talk a little bit about the duck casserole. Okay. You take 2 ducks and simmer those for an hour or so until they get real tender with an onion and a couple of ribs of celery and an apple. You want to just simmer that very slowly so that it remains tender.
Now, you wouldn't really call that a marinade. That's just boiling the duck, right?
That's just cooking the duck, but the celery and the apple and the onion really give it a nice flavor. Okay. And then after, while that is doing, you can take about a stick of butter, put it in melt it in a skillet, and then add about a 1/2 cup of onion and just saute that until it's soft, and then add a 1/4 cup of flour to that. That's just sort of your thickening agent. It's going to make it nice and make your casserole hold together nicely. Then after you've done that, then you're going to mix together all the rest of your ingredients.
Mix it all together.
Now the rice, you don't cook in the casserole. You cook the rice before that.
Right.
It's already pre-cooked, and you can either mix long grain and wild rice yourself, or you can buy it pre-packaged and cook it according to the package directions. And that's what we did. And you take so you're going to take the ingredients that we've talked about thus far, and then add a 6-ounce can of mushrooms with the liquid that's in them, and then take a cup and a half of half and half, which is the cream and the milk mixed together, a tablespoon of chopped parsley, half a teaspoon or so of pepper and salt. Really, that's just to your taste. And then mix all that up in a big bowl, or you can mix it in your skillet if you have room. I just never have room because I always cook more than the recipe says.
Oh yeah.
And then spread it in a casserole just like this one, and sprinkle slivered almonds over the top of it. Put it in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and this is what you have.
And it's ready to go.
It's ready to go.
No fancy name, duck casserole.
That's right.
Okay, and the bear?
Then this is our masterpiece over here.
Yeah.
This is a bear roast, and very simple to do, and as I said, you can do it with any kind of roast that you'd like to. This particular one happens to be bear. You make a marinade. You take 2/3 of a cup of soy sauce, a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, and a 1/4 cup lemon juice. And it's freshly squeezed. They're much better if you do squeeze them fresh. And then you take a cup of onions you've chopped up very finely, and then a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of curry powder, and a teaspoon of chili powder. So you got a teaspoon of each of those 3 spices, and then a half a teaspoon of ground ginger. Mix that all in the marinade, mix that all together, and then just after you've taken your bear roast, now you don't have to put the garlic inserts in it, but we really like that better. Just take the sharp knife and poke the hole down in there and stick the garlic cloves as many or as few as you like.
Just
you
like
really
she
don't
showed
even
you.
have to do it. Yeah, like we showed a while ago. Then put the roast in the marinade, turn it over once, and put it in the refrigerator overnight. Now, if you have to go to the refrigerator for those snacks and things like as we talked, well, then kind of baste it or turn it over several times if you have the opportunity. And then the next day, whenever you get ready to cook it, you put it in a 225 to 250-degree oven. If it's a small roast, cook it a couple of hours, and then if it's a large roast, cook it very slowly up to 4 hours. And this is what you have when you're finished.
We better get this stuff over there,
Well,
Phyllis.
I'm afraid they're going to tear the house down if we don't.
That's right.
Well, if you'll get the duck, I'll get the bear.
I got you.
Okay, I'm going to
Here we
follow
go.
you.
All right. Just scoot this right down there.
Here it comes, gang.
Here, just below you go. There's the duck casserole.
Here's the bear right here.
Boy, howdy.
John, you want to do the honors to carve?
I shall do a little carving. Yep. Ooh, that's gonna be good.